Hello, good evening to all of you. And tonight, actually, I want to cook something to go with our new release, the 2018 Octagon. As some of you may already know, we just released it last Friday, and it's a very unique vintage. You can learn more about subscribing to our Note from the Winemaker, which is coming out at the end of the week. But basically, in a nutshell, 2018 was a very unique vintage, and the texture of the wine, which I will expand later, it's quite fresh, some powerful tannins. So I'm gonna create a dish that has a lot of roundness, some fat, some great aromatics that are fruitful, that also have spices like thyme, rosemary. And at first I thought perhaps to grill a beautiful steak, although I thought, why don't we do something a little different, play with the grill. And one thing I have to share with you that I really despise, it's when I eat grilled food that comes from copious flames from the fat that drips and the flame go up and then people try to suppress it. I don't care as much when the intensity of the heat scalding and scorching the meat brings up. So we're gonna cook Moulard duck. We're gonna cook it in the center of the grill, only with side burners. So there's gonna be no direct heat. You're gonna be a little slower. It may take a little more than an hour, but in the end result is gonna be a super, super crisp skin. The fat is going to be rendered. It drips down, but does not catch on fire. And on the side, we're going to have some other things. I'll explain later, but for now, let's get the duck out, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So it was actually. I grabbed the wrong thing. I actually also marinated some chicken, which you're going to have tonight as well. So here I just got some Moulard duck that I marinated last night with some red wine, and also with let's see, it's red wine. It's some garlic, some honey. And then some rosemary, some thyme, chopped. I squeezed half an orange juice in it, and then we're gonna place it on the oven. We're not gonna dry it or pat it or anything. We're just gonna put it in the grill. First, we put it face down, and then we flip it at halfway through the cooking. So here we are. The grill is right around 400 degrees. There is a heat on both sides. We're going to place it in between the two. As I said, there will going to be no dripping that catch on fire. We're going to leave it here. And we're going to go inside and prepare some other things. So to go on the side, together with the duck, we're going to actually boil some Yukon Gold potatoes, like so. And actually we're going to add quite a generous amount of salt, like this much. Okay. What happened is that when you cook, if you cook a potato in water and you add an excess amount, actually the skin itself controls how much salt can migrate into the flesh. So you can put as much salt as you want, the potato will not take as much. Although if you peel the potato, it will take in quite a lot more salt. So this way, this is a technique that I learned years and years ago from a friend of my parents that had some of his ancestors came from Switzerland, and I remember telling me that that's something that is done frequently. Switzerland, Austria, they actually cooked them in a porcelain container where they actually put the potato, a bunch of salt. They cook it all the way down, that all the water is evaporated, the salt crystallizes, and then they have this delicious finished product. So it's going to take a little more than an hour, and for all of this to be evaporated at medium heat. If you go at high heat, you tend to have the potato breaking up. So medium heat, an hour or more. And actually, to make it easier, last night I cooked some. So here what they look like. You know, there's nothing left in it. Actually, this almost a little bit. I pushed a little bit too far, but that's not a problem. So we're gonna later on work on these potatoes, which we're going to cut in discs, and then we're gonna sear on both sides on a pan a little bit before we serve the duck. The other thing we're gonna do that's gonna take a little time is gonna be also on the side. We're going to have a little bit of tomatoes, and also with the tomatoes we're going to do a little side sauce with some sour cherries that were soaked in red wine since last night, some raspberries, some blueberries, and this sauce is going to go on the duck, some potatoes. So it's actually a very simple dish. If you think about it, it just requires a little bit of planning ahead, a little bit of time. Something you can do perhaps over a weekend. You're going to have some fun. And you can cook over a nice glass of Allegrante Rosé maybe, and have something to nibble and just relax. So the tomato we're just going to cut in half, like so. And then we're going to cook them face down, so they get very, very intense sweetness and tartness. Well, and it's not yet actually the big time for tomatoes, but it's coming soon. And actually, like we did last year, we're going to have an amazing season of tomato dinners. Actually, for those that never heard about it, last year we partnered with several great chefs in Richmond and Charlottesville, where we chose the main ingredient for the dinner, the tomato. And our friends from Village Garden in Richmond, they provide an amazing array of tomatoes. They have over 100 varieties. And so, because of the great success of the previous year, this year we're going to have 20 restaurants between mid-June all the way through mid-August that are going to be really excited, and they have so much creativity to create 20 distinctive wine and food events with lots of tomatoes all the way through. We don't have yet published the whole list, but it's coming soon. Stay tuned through our Facebook page. You're going to be able to find out more about it. So all I did here, I just put down the tomatoes like that, a little bit of salt. And what we do, we're going to put on a medium heat to simmer, and basically just cooking face down. What happened, the bottom side, you're going to get more and more concentrated, therefore enhancing really the concentration and the balance of the sweet and the tart. So I'm going to wash my hands and then we continue on. All right, the other thing we're going to do, I mentioned, was we're going to cut the potatoes in about maybe a bit more than a ½ inch thickness. And actually this could be cooked ahead of time, but if you can cook it a little closer to serving, actually you will retain a bit more crispness of after the cooking that you will see in a minute. So all we do here, we're going to just get a pan, and put a little bit of oil on the bottom. Not too much, but fairly generous. Again, remember here, don't add any salt. The potato is perfectly salted. Delicious. And what we do here, we just grab a few sprigs of rosemary. We're gonna do like so. 1, 2, 3, and let's do one more, and 4. And we're gonna put this on medium heat again. I'm gonna lower the tomato, they're going a little bit too fast. You wanna cook them really medium low. And what happened, the potato will have a very nice crisp texture, and the rosemary will infuse nicely into the potato. And so as the potatoes are cooking, and the tomatoes as well are chugging along, and the potatoes and the duck, why don't we open the Octagon, and we're going actually to decant it to give it a little bit of air, which actually is beneficial for a young wine of this type of texture. So we're going to decant it, let the wine get a little bit of oxygen. This is exciting, thinking back at this very, very challenging harvest, having to deal with very crazy weather, and then finally we had the nice window in August, and then being able today to pour it here in this decanter and having a great leg of duck. It's just simply very exciting. Here it is. We're going to let it rest. Then we're going to have a little sip at the end with the finished dish. Let me check these potatoes, make sure they don't get too dark. There you go. See, they're getting there. I think I can probably lower the heat a little more. We're going to have more browning, but no burning. Going to be a steady browning. I know that tomatoes, they still have a way to go to be able to concentrate, intensify in the sweet and tart composition. Potatoes have a long way to go, as I told you earlier. That's why I prepared those. I'm going to let those go actually, and I'm going to have actually probably use them tomorrow. This is a type of cooking you can just put away in the refrigerator, and for the next few days you can just pull them out, cut them, and do this type of treatment. Well, it has been probably about 20 minutes, and here's the duck starting to render a lot of fat. You're going to be still having a way to go. We want to see all this coloration through, and want to have the skin super crisp and all the fat rendered through. You can see, look how much is dripping below. There you go. So many drops of fat going out. That's going to be so delicious. So the potatoes, it takes about, let's say, 7 to 9 minutes, and then you can flip it. If you flip it earlier, the rosemary will detach, and there you have this beautiful infused potato with a beautiful sprig of rosemary. We're going to crisp the other side. Here, basically, we have two sides very crisp, and the inside very, very delicious and still very moist. And So it's an easy way to cook the potatoes. It looks beautiful, it smells great, and it's fun. The tomatoes themselves, see, I like to see them actually darker than that. So we're going to let those concentrate further and intensify. Potatoes, another 7-8 minutes, I turn them off, they're ready. Okay, we are actually, I'm going to do a sauce for the duck, but before that, see what happened here. The tomatoes, they finish cooking, they shrivel, they intensify. I remove these from the heat. So here they stay warm, both sides are gonna be crispy. At this point, we just keep it ready for serving. I'm gonna prepare the sauce. What we do, we're gonna start, just put a small amount of oil here. We're gonna put it on a medium heat. And first I'm gonna use all the leftover from the marinade to go in. There are some very nice aromatics there. I'm going to let it slowly cook. We're going to add some of the cherries. I just need a spoon. And I'm going to put some cherries. I'm going to add a little bit of the liquid. We're going to first cook this down a little bit, and then toward the end we're going to add some raspberries, some blueberries to give some nice fresh fruit character. Like the Octagon, nice fruit character, some herbs, some spice, and a bright acidity in 18, very fresh wine, so it's going to be really fantastic. All right. And so now that it's quite well reduced, we're going to add the raspberries, some blueberries, and we continue into this slow cooking for another few minutes. And now you can see the way the liquid are rolling. This is ready. We're just going to let it rest, otherwise it gets too thick and it will not flow well and distribute well on the meat. So you have the raspberries, they're partly cooked, the blueberries as well, but the cherries are dried, reconstituting wine. Delicious. Oh. Okay, now the duck is ready, nice and crispy. All the fat, not all, but most of the fat has rendered. It still has quite a bit of fat, being a Mullard duck, typical. You're gonna have plenty of fat to sustain the richness and the tannin of the Octagon. A little bit of the other ingredient will lighten up the whole texture and the balance. Same it is the balance of the wine. 2018 was a vintage that produced a wine with very intense aromatic of black fruit, with also a little bit of earthiness, of like a forest floor when you walk through a forest. Aromas like blackberry, currant, and savory dried herbs in Octagon. The body actually is quite full body and with very firm tannins. So this, I have to say, although that the refreshing acidity and the tannin, they're well integrated, very sustained, very fresh finish. a touch of mocha or coffee, which is coming from the toasting of the barrel, makes this very complete wine. So now it's time for preparing the duck to be plated. I'm gonna attempt to chop it, and let's see how it goes. All right, let me grab just a towel here. So we're gonna chop it. It's a little easier to eat. So, and we're going to plate it. All right. I'm just gonna cut through. There you go. There you go. Oh, look how nice. Oh, great. Good. I go there. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to put on the side the potatoes. Have the potatoes on the side. Voila. A little bit of the tomatoes as a side. And here we just have a little bit of the blueberries, couple of raspberries. The juice is thickening, and off we go. Maybe let's put a couple of drops right there also, you know, on the potatoes to make it even more complex. And so here is the dish. And as I said, it takes a little bit of time, but trust me, it's not that complicated. And with the Octagon, it's going to be just fantastic. I'm going to pour myself a little bit. And let's see if it's true what I said just earlier about the wine. Is right where it is. It's a beautiful time. The wine is still young. It will definitely improve with some further aging, as Octagon always does. But for some of you that want to consume it a little bit earlier at a young stage, just give itself a dish like this, and it's going to be just a beautiful reason to open it and savor it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.